Do you understand why? Because Charlie Kirk got executed, yeah?
So Charlie Kirk was not far right?
Was he?
Because it was...
Do you think he was far right?
It is said to be.
Said to be by journalists who know nothing
Not
like
by
you.
me.
By who? By people. But you tell me, what views did Charlie Kirk hold that made him far right? He believed in the family. I'm not saying Charlie Kirk's far right. You said Charlie Kirk was far right.
No, I don't say, I said some people say.
Some people say, so because some people say, lying, smearing, slandering journalists, yeah, who, as we've just established, have no evidence, you've just going to call me far right. I've asked you what makes me far right. Silence. As much research on that as you have on Islam. Jesus, so come on, let's just get this point again, because before you write your article, what makes me far right?
I don't know what I see. You want it? You want to...
What makes me far right? What makes me far right?
You want to trap me?
Oh, no, I'm not trapping you. No, what makes me far right?
So you co-founded the Defense League? It's not really...
So I co-founded, just so for your information,
Left, right,
as a journalist, so I co-founded the English Defence League. The entire time it was set, I was leader of it.
It said hooligan.
No,
it's not hooligan.
The Scotland Yard, our police force, has a domestic extremism unit. The entire time I led the English Defence League, it was categorised by the experts in Scotland Yard as a centrist organisation. Did you know that the English Defence League had a Jewish division? Did you know that? A gay and lesbian division? A Sikh division, a Hindu division. Does it sound very far right? So the media, again, just because the media called it far right, you're a journalist, you're independent, you're doing your own research. So again, what is it in your research against me have you found that justifies calling me far right?
The way you speak of Muslim.
I haven't spoken of Muslims, I spoke of Islam. When did I mention Muslims? You mentioned Muslims. I spoke about Islam. Everything I've said was about Islam and the Prophet Muhammad. So, again, do you believe in blasphemy laws?
What that?
Blasphemy, protection, again, for religion. Or should religion... Blasphemy.
No, I don't.
You don't believe in blasphemy. So, because I speak negatively against Islam, that's what you believe entitles you to call me far right. That's it. Yeah. So just to get that one point, just to really nail it home here, if I was a critic of Christianity, would that make me far right? Let's look at some atheists out there. Richard Dawkins, for example. Would he be far right for being a critic of Christianity? In your humble expert opinion, would he be far right for criticising Christianity?
I don't know.
I don't know. Point proven anyway. I just want to prove my point, man. It's like a special protection is given to... Yeah, you can have a look.
Okay.
You can speak to people if you want.
No,
Look, there's a comment. So
this is live, okay.
This is live.
Okay.
And I haven't done this to embarrass you. Okay?
Yeah, you do.
Have I embarrassed you?
Everybody's looking at me now and...
Well, everybody's going to be... Listen, love, you're about to run an article where you're going to call me far right. So if anyone should be upset here, it should be me, yeah? Because we've just established you've got no grounds to do it. We've established you know nothing about Islam, and we've established that you're the so-called French expert on this issue. So if anyone should be upset, it shouldn't be you. I've just used this evidence, this video, to basically expose really the mainstream media. That's what I've done it for.
Yeah. But okay, it's hard for me to defend because it's not my language, so it's kind of...
You know what I'm saying? You're going to call me far right, yeah? And
you don't want?
I'm not far right. It's a smear. It's a smear. It's an unfair smear. And for too long, journalists have been able to get away with it. But it doesn't really matter anymore. Because when the public now, when they see the word far right, they think, well, he's telling the truth. That's what's happened now. There's been a total swing. Whereas people used to think, well, stay away from him, he's far right. Now it draws people to us.
In a tense and at times circular exchange, British activist Tommy Robinson pushed back forcefully against a French journalist's suggestion that he holds far-right views, challenging the reporter to define what precisely earns him that label. The conversation, reportedly part of a wider documentary or interview project, began with a familiar media refrain. That Robinson, the founder and former leader of the English Defence League, Edel, represents Britain's far right. But Robinson, characteristically combative, seized on the phrase demanding specifics. Throughout the exchange, Robinson accused the media, and the journalists before him, of parroting smears without evidence. He portrayed himself not as an extremist, but as a patriot targeted by lying, slandering journalists who know nothing. The scene encapsulates a pattern familiar in Robinson's media appearances, a deliberate reframing of the debate from ideology to credibility, challenging journalists to defend their own methods, and in doing so, painting himself as a victim of lazy or based reporting. While Robinson insists that his activism is directed solely against Islamist extremism, critics argue that his rhetoric and the Edel Street demonstrations have consistently attracted violent, xenophobic, and Islamophobic elements. Human rights groups have long classified the Edel as part of Britain's far-right ecosystem, citing its confrontational protests and inflammatory rhetoric. Still, the exchange raises an enduring question about journalistic responsibility. What does the label far-right truly mean? And when does it become shorthand for something more complex? Robinson's challenge, whether in good faith or strategic deflection, forces his interlocutors to reckon with the nuances behind political branding in an era of polarized discourse.
And that was an extremely damning report that Ben just gave from the streets of Manhattan. It's very disheartening, and we've seen echoes of that also on the streets of London, across the UK. And I think it's a reminder, it's one of many wake-up calls that we've seen since October the 7th. Everyone's aware of the tragedies, the atrocities, the massacres that took place on October the 7th, the butchering, the raping, the kidnapping. But I think another war that was really unleashed on October the 7th was this globalized, the Intifada anti-Semitism war that has spread well beyond the confines of the Middle East. We've seen it on the streets of London, we've seen it in Australia, Canada, France, and also in the streets of the UK. And today is very much a day of celebration, a festival for many of these people who are openly and unambiguously and proudly supporting terrorism. Of course, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be protesting in the streets, but when you have people who are waving the flags of an internationally designated terrorist organization, as Ben pointed out, when you have people who are celebrating the butchering of two Jewish worshippers on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, that's a huge cause for concern.
One of the commentators, one of the people, members of the public that Ben spoke to in that commentary there, said they broke out, they viewed October the 7th, they broke out after 77 years of occupation, as though the events of that day 2 years ago were politically, morally, ethically justified. How do you bring two sides together, Jonathan, who see such a barbaric day in such starkly different terms?
It's definitely troubling, and I've also seen, I saw certain, an NHS doctor, for example, today on Twitter, on X, openly, proudly post a picture of the atrocities on October the 7th and call it glorious. So, I mean, the way you bring about peace is not by approaching the radical, dangerous elements on that side. It's by first, for example, that's why we're in Egypt, where Israel's delegation is in Egypt. It's to demand forcefully, whether through diplomacy or other means, demand the unconditional and immediate release of the 48 hostages, demand the full dismantlement of Hamas, and approach certain elements, non-radical elements of the Palestinian side, who perhaps do see understand that Hamas cannot play a future in Gaza, and try and work with those elements. But it's very troubling and it's very challenging to do so when you have people who don't want peace.